Hello and welcome to Live Well, Be Well, a wellness show where we explore diverse ways to boost health, well-being and connection. Breathe, thrive and feel alive. My name is Deborah from Be Well with Deborah. I'm a wellness coach and your show host for today. The purpose of this show is to inspire and educate as we explore the many paths of wellness together. Creating community and connection is vital for true wellness, and here we have the opportunity to listen to those doing incredible work in the wellness field, as well as individuals with inspiring personal stories of their own wellness journey. My intention is that the insights and experiences shared here bring you inspiration, encouragement and hope, especially if you or your loved ones are facing any challenges on your own wellness journey. I'm delighted to have on the show today Gerard Mc Cann. Not only is he my brother, he's also the UBU Project Coordinator at Cloyne Diocesan Youth Services in Fermoy, where he works primarily with young people ages 10 to 18. Passionate about youth development and community engagement, Gerard brings energy, empathy and a deep understanding of young people's challenges to his role. New to leadership and team management, Gerard has embraced the responsibilities and everyday challenges of the position with enthusiasm. Prior to joining CDYS, he spent 4.5 years in administration and data entry. During this time, he pursued further education, undertaking the Diploma in Youth and Community Work at University College Cork by night, reaffirming his commitment to working directly with people. Gerard's educational journey continued after school, completing a FETAC Level 5 in Coaching Education, where he progressed then to UCC studying Sports Studies and Physical Education with Irish. As a highly sociable and active man, Gerard has a strong background in sports, including GAA, soccer and athletics. During the recent lockdown, he taught himself to play the ukulele and guitar, skills he now confidently incorporates into youth programs, enhancing engagement and creativity among service users. Gerard is acutely aware of the discrimination and prejudice young people often face in society. Drawing on both his life experience and his education, he strives to instill resilience in young people he supports, fostering a safe, inclusive and non-judgmental environment through his open door policy, where young people are encouraged to grow personally and socially. Welcome to the show. How are you today, Gerard?
Hello Deborah, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
How are you feeling today?
Very good, yeah. First radio interview, so I'm excited to do it.
Brilliant, excellent. And I'm really curious, what drew you to working with young people? What was that inspiration or that draw for you?
Yeah, so I suppose it stems back to probably when I was a teenager, and through my engagement and my involvement with GA and soccer, I would have started volunteering with underage hurling teams in St. Finbarr's GA Club, and then I would have participated in the cool camps and the running of the cool camps in the club as well in the summertime. And then I suppose when I went to Cloyne Stefan Eiffel to do coach education, that's where I got my first proper job, and that was in the Glen Resource Centre. So I worked there for 4 summers as an activity instructor, and I think that's where the draw or the love for working with young people really kicked off, because I worked with young people from all kinds of backgrounds, and I just really enjoyed the social aspect and the engagement with them and seeing them, progressing in things and striving in things that they were enjoying doing, and I think that's where it kind of stemmed from really. So yeah, it's taken off from then.
Fantastic, well done. And your role then as a project coordinator with youth, what does that involve?
Yeah, so it'd be the day-to-day operations of the project. So I delegate work to my staff. I have to draw up the timetables for the weeks in and the weeks out, and there's a lot of advocacy work involved and community networking and reaching out to agencies and working alongside them. Yeah, you're constantly promoting the project as we are funded through the Cork ETV. We're constantly engaging with local stakeholders and trying to get the name of the project out there. So there's a lot of that, and as I said, there's a lot of advocacy as well and outreach work. So working with 10 to 18 year olds, you're constantly engaging with the local schools, the Gardaí, because there's a lot of young people who would come into the project who would be diverted through the Gardaí. Same with the schools, so we liaise with the school completion programme officers in the school as well. So it's about just being interactive within the community and constantly engaging with the local agencies, as I said. So it's a big task, but it's an enjoyable, and every day is different. And on top of that, I also work with the youths as well. So
fabulous.
So as I said, I do a lot of delegation, but I'm also interactive with them. So I do the music and I do the sports with them at the minute.
Brilliant, that sounds really good. So you have a bit of both, you're managing, looking after, and then you actually have the hands-on working with the youths. I'd say that's very rewarding for you, working with the youths.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, every day is a different day, and the young people are coming in, and when you see them taking to something, and progressing and thriving on that, be it music, sport, arts and crafts, baking, it's just about trying to find a niche for them and get them involved in something that they're strong at, because I think in those years of 10 to 18, they're going through adolescence and puberty, and it's a major milestone in their life, and it's about experimentation, finding things and people who are applicable to them, and I suppose that's what we do in Fermoy with the open door policy. I look at it as a social laboratory for young people to come in and explore relationships, beliefs and cultural backgrounds and try to find where they fit in.
That sounds really good. I'm curious, you mentioned there that you work with 10 to 18-year-olds, and as everyone is really aware, they're a group that's facing such huge social and emotional challenges right now. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that group, say the 10 to 18-year-olds face, and also some of the biggest wellness challenges that they face?
Yeah, so I suppose, again, they're at that age and society has shifted so much now, and there's so much distraction, so much outside noise, that it's hard for young people, even adults, just to switch off when we want to. And I think with the likes of social media, they're buying into a lot of stuff which is affecting their social and their mental capacity as well, And I think coming into the project, it's just about switching off as best as possible. So we look to roll out programs which kind of tackle those issues. So as I said, I'm new enough to the project and the role, but I'm undertaking plenty of training as well at the moment. So we have a program starting in August. It's a transition program. So it's about working on young people's resilience, and it'll be aimed at 6th class students who are making that big step into first year, and it'll be done through the ISPCC. So what that will entail is building resilience and emotional intelligence, and it's a fun interactive workshop which will be run over 2 or 3 days, and it's just about equipping them with those well-being skills. And on top of that, I recently undertook the Real You program, which was very informative as well. So it's relationships explored and life uncovered, so it touches off many topics which young people need education in. So we're looking to roll that out as well in the next few weeks, and we're always looking for well-being and mental health workshops coming in. So I suppose your kind of field of work as well would definitely be exploring that kind of avenue, and I think all projects should be looking at that way.
Very much so, yeah. I love working with the children and the youths myself. I have a program that's applicable to both 9-year-olds to 12, and then teens as well. It's called Your Mind, Your Power, which I love. And it's really about showing children and showing teens that they have the power over their thoughts, they have the power over how they are able to move emotions through their body, and really showing them the power of their mind. What I love as well about working with the youths is that there's emotions that they find quite challenging and overwhelming. It's about giving them the skills and tools. So when it comes to things like anxiety, showing them how to recognise the early signs of anxiety before it gets too big, and then giving them the skills and tools to calm their nervous system. Myself personally, I find that anger can be a big a big emotion. I'm sure you probably see that with the
Yeah,
youths that you work with
absolutely.
as well, and that a lot of them, they either get quite explosive, they don't know what to do with their anger, or else they try to suppress it, and either isn't healthy. So what I love when I'm working with the youths is actually showing them how to find that hidden emotion underneath, because usually anger is just the primary emotion, and helping them to go underneath and discover they could be feeling fearful, they could be feeling lonely, and then there's always that need as well. There's an unmet need that goes with that emotional response as well. But I think, and you probably noticed this as well, like impulse control as well with youths is really a big one to like bring to the fore and have them to be aware of the impulsive behaviours. And what I love when I'm working with youths as well is creating vision, because we've all heard that saying, without a vision a man perishes. And I think giving teams, that support where they create a vision for themselves, not only helps them like to keep that motivation, but it also helps them then as well when they're struggling in challenges, because as you know, we don't escape challenges no matter what age. I think everybody does have challenges or some level of trauma, so it's really about working with the youth and showing them that they have the power and giving them the skills and tools. Do you run any programs in and around, really like the mindset stuff with your services?
No, not yet, but as I said, it's definitely an avenue we're willing to explore. And as you said, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's about, I suppose, educating them and dealing with those emotions rather than it building up and it being a massive outburst. That could be, lashing out or having a massive panic attack. It's just all those emotions are built up. And as I said, especially in this day and age, there's so much outside noise, and they're listening and they're seeing so much that's affecting them. So I think mental health workshops are a really important thing for the young people. So we'll definitely be looking at bringing somebody in and exploring those kind of options. Because there's so many different emotions, and as I said, when they're going through those adolescent years, they're rife, they're all over the place, they're hard to control. And as I said, through their socialisation as well, with their primary and their secondary socialisation, it's important that they're surrounded by the right people and the right proper education as well in the field of mental health. I think is important.
Very much so, and I really feel working with young people, and maybe you might agree as well, like environment is key. Like who you support, who you surround yourself, who is your support system where you're going through these really challenging, and even the hormones, there's so much at play with youth, and even an increased stress that maybe wasn't there, say with social media and other aspects, say going back 10 or 15 years ago. So we're going to go for a break now. It's been really lovely exploring about teens' mental health, so we're going to go for a break now, and when we come back we'll explore more. Hello and welcome back to Live Well Be Well on Cork Community Radio Show. Before we went for our break, I was chatting, and I'm still chatting to Gerard Mc Cann, the Youth Coordinator in UBU down in Fermoy, Cloyne Diocesan, and we were chatting about teens, mental health, and also their struggles too as well. So I'm curious, you speak openly about the discrimination and prejudice young people face. How do you help them to develop the skills and tools to challenge these experiences in healthy ways?
I think, as I mentioned, the open door policy, and as a youth worker, the importance of being, person-centred and non-judgmental is first and foremost key. We need to build that trust so people are going to come in the door. And I always say that when they go to school, they're in a routine, and that's a strict routine daily, So I think when they come in to the youth worker, we have to have a different approach to the teaching. As I said, non-judgmental, we need to be empathetic, and I know teachers are as well, but I suppose be more empathetic than a teacher would, So I think it's important just to, have that approach, and I suppose the discrimination and the prejudice which young people are facing. Again, I go back to that buzzword, social media. They're seeing it left, right, and centre, and the rise of the far right and that kind of thing as well. So when they come in, it's important that we kind of integrate them into the community. So where I'm working down in Fermoy, there would be a lot of young people in our project that come from the direct provision centres, you know, and even down there they kind of had a hard time settling in once upon a time a couple of years ago by the locals, you know, but I think that's improved, you know, just down to education at the end of the day. And I think it's important to integrate them into society and just keep educating people as well.
Yeah, very much so. It's about educating people, and because at the core of it, we all have the same needs, we all want to belong, we all want to feel safe, you know. And how do you then, in your role, because I can imagine a lot of the youths coming in, they've probably been left down, they've gone through a lot of difficulties in their life, how do you then build trust and be able to build that relationship so that they are open to listening to you, they are open to your guidance then?
Yeah, I think it's important just to be a good listener, again, empathetic, and I kind of always go back to the theory that I learned in college, which was Sigmund Freud's theory of psychoanalysis. When you break that down, at the end of the day, it's then to talk therapy and how important it is to be a good listener and direct the people in the right places, be welcoming, and you know, make them feel included in everything you do. And then you build your lessons and your plans around that as well. As I said, the project below, we're starting to see a lot of the local kids coming back in, so it's great that they're, you know, in the same project as the kids from the direct provision, and they're learning from each other. And we even have culture nights as well yearly in the project. So we have the locals, you know, the local Irish kids doing Irish cultural traditions, and then we have the African kids coming in doing their African cultural traditions as well through music and cookery. And it's brilliant. It's a great way of bringing the community together, and it's open to everybody. It's not just the youth workers or the families of the youth workers. It's open, and as I said, it's constantly about education, and we find that as well with the travelling community. So they're one of our targets as well that we work with. So we work with the travelling community and the prejudice that they're faced with as well on a daily basis, and it's just the notions that people have towards them, that they're this and they're that, and when you break it down and when you get to know them, they're like everybody else, you know. They're willing to get involved and they're great people.
Yeah, because we're all human at the end of the day. I'm curious, you mentioned there about some of the judgments and stereotypes. What would be some of the common stereotypes or judgments that young people would face, and then also say these target groups that you work with as well? And like how can we, like as individuals and collective, how can we show up and support and be better for these marginalised groups and youths?
Yeah, I suppose the main stereotype which I see, and it drives me spare, is, you know, people can't be changed, you know, which is totally false, really. That goes for young people and adults. You just look at the amount of adults going back to education now, or adults that have had their own adverse circumstances or trauma, and they've come out the other side and they're going back and they're educating themselves. So it's a stereotype that I don't like, but I can still see it, especially with young people. And yeah, I suppose it's just everybody deserves a second chance. Everybody has the ability, you know, to have a second chance. And when they come into us, it's just about finding a niche for them to like whether it's the guitar, kicking a ball, and then you hope that it sticks with them and they can go back and do something educational in that field, you know. And that's what it's about, really, I suppose. But that would be the main stereotype, or the old-fashioned all kids are lazy, you know. They're not.
Yeah, I know that one, Eric.
They need the push, and as I keep saying as well, you know, transitional years, they're lost a lot of the time, and it's just about exploring options and finding where they belong.
And I think too as well, I remember because I did the youth work and community development studies as well, and like what I learned from that course as well, even like say on the physical and the personal development of teenagers, they're going through so many hormonal changes. Some people look at them like they're lazy, but they need to rest more. And yeah, like years back we had more poor communities, we had more elders in the community, we had more people to guide youths, whereas a lot of that has kind of unfortunately fallen away. And that's where I feel then where youth workers and community development workers then get the opportunity to come in and be that guiding force then for youths as they grow up. Fantastic. So, looking ahead then, what is your vision for youth work in your community, and what advice would you give someone who is passionate or even a little bit curious about making a difference but unsure where to begin?
So I think for foreseeable is just keep getting young people in the door. The numbers have increased, which is great, and I think putting more things on offer and getting more volunteers in is essential. So a lot of youth projects are constantly looking for volunteers. We're always happy to take volunteers, and I think if somebody is unsure, it's a good way to dabble in it, give it a go. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, you're not stuck there. You can come and go when you want. But I think once you're in the door, it's hard to leave. As I said, I would have done volunteer work as well, and it's just great, and it's a good way to see if it is for you. And I think it's important as well to keep being interactive with the local stakeholders. And I think politicians, that's where we're lacking as well. There's not a lot. Politicians don't speak enough about youth work. It's kind of overlooked a lot of the time. We can be underfunded as well. So we need to reach out more to them, and we need more local politicians coming in, seeing the work being done, because it's fantastic. You wouldn't get it anywhere else, and as I said, down to the tutors and the volunteers as well, there's a huge credit towards them. It's those people that make it work,
100%. And your vision then, did you have a vision for youth?
My vision,
for the like say, the youth community, like if you had a vision, what would it be?
I don't have a vision just yet, but as I said, just we need more engagement with the local, the local politicians and stuff is important. We need people in seeing the work being done at the ground. It's easy to talk about it, but when you're not seeing it, that's the issue. So we need people in seeing it. So
true. And if anyone was listening now, say if they had teens or if they had youths and they were struggling, say with their teens and their youths, or maybe somebody knew somebody who had like teens and they could see that they were struggling, what advice could you give those listeners that could help? It could help, in their situation.
Yeah, reach out to your local youth club, youth work. They're everywhere. They're all around you. They're all around the city and the county. So it's a great tool, and it's a great resource for parents to have. And as I said, a lot of it's not always group work. There's a lot of one-to-one work as well, because a lot of people struggle. I think after the pandemic as well, a lot of the young people are struggling to use their social skills and go out and meet people. So what we like to do within the projects as well is, if needed, start with one-to-one work, get them in the door, find something that they like, and then slowly but surely get them involved in the groups. So yeah, it's important. It's important to reach out.
Fantastic. And I'm sure you love your work, you really enjoy it, and there must be moments where you get stressed as well. So I'm curious then, in your personal life then, what do you do to let go of stress, blow off steam, and improve your own wellness?
I think it used to be sports. I love going for a run. That's a major thing for me, but I have to say it's the guitar now. Yeah, once I get it in my hand, I kind of forget about everything, and that's what I take into the project as well. Teens that are struggling to find something. I might just sit in the music room and start strumming, and they come in, the head is up, and they come in, and it just starts that way. And I think being forceful or trying to get someone to do something, they're going to be deterred from it straight away. So I think, just sit in the room, play music, and they'll come in. But that would be my way, because it's honestly great for the head. You go off into your own world, just playing away. And a run as well. I'm very sporty, so they'd be my way of kind of winding down after a day of work.
Brilliant, and that's excellent, because I know it was during lockdown as well that you actually self-taught yourself the ukulele, self-taught the guitar, and you bring that now into the youth service as well. Is there any other skills that you took on your own initiative to learn that you're able to bring to just your own joy, that you're able to bring then to the youth and the services? Yeah,
so on top of the sport and the music, I suppose over the pandemic and stuff, I kind of got very into mindfulness as well. Listening to podcasts and that kind of thing. There's a lot of them out there, a lot of good ones, a lot of not so good ones as well. But it's about finding what works for you, and you touched on it earlier about the youths being able to deal with all these emotions, and I think it's important that we learn how to self-regulate as well. So I kind of bring that in as well. So I'd be looking to roll out programs which do, as I said, touch on mental health and being able to deal with those kind of issues and self-regulation. So mental health is huge at the minute.
It is very much so, and I'm curious as well, you mentioned that there's some really good podcasts out there. Are there any podcasts that you could recommend our listeners to tune in and listen to, even if it's just their own stress or anxiety or what they're going through? And is there any specific then that would be good that they could recommend to some teens if they're open to it?
Yeah, so two that three I'll suggest now. So the Blind Boy podcast is probably targeted at a bit of an older audience, but he just breaks it down, no holds barred, and he's a big advocate for mental health, and he talks about the world and all the stuff that's going on in the world and how we can kind of deal with that in an appropriate way. I think the other one that I found helpful was the Mindful podcast, which is with Dermot Whelan, who used to work on Today FM. He actually left his radio presenter job to go into mindfulness full time. Again, he experienced a massive panic attack a couple of years ago, and he wasn't watching himself the right way and he was overstressed. So he's gone back into that field, and he does really good 1 minute meditations at the end of his sessions, and they're basic, but they get the breathing back in order, and Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That's a book and it's a podcast as well. I can't remember the lady who wrote it.
The woman that wrote
it's
it,
the woman who wrote it, but it's
well.
fantastic. It's it's about putting you're the protagonist in your story, and it's just a great way of regulating your emotions again, as I said.
Fantastic. There's some really good recommendations. And events then, do you have any events coming up?
Yeah, so we have our summer camps are coming up now, so we should see a rise in numbers. So we do some activities there during the week, which is great, and that's okay. We're happy to take anybody at any time. We're actually looking at going to Tork Mountain next Friday as well, so we're taking some of the young people there. It would be great, and we're mixing with some of the other groups like the diversion program as well, and the family support. So it'll be a great day out. And then, as I said, we'll be looking to roll out the Smart Moves transition program for 6th class students going into first year. So that'll be in August, and we are doing a youth leadership training in Scala and Blackrock as well for the young people on our council. So that's another thing, we're always looking for members to join the council, and it's a great way to develop leadership skills, relationship building, communication. So yeah, we're always here for anybody that wants to pop in.
Fantastic. And how can people get in contact with you if they're interested in any of these events?
Yeah, so we're kind of most active on Instagram, so it's CDYS Fermoy. So you'll see all the things that we do there and our timetables. And if you want to reach out to me on email, it's gerard@cdys.ie, and my work phone is 086 83 803 1200.
Brilliant, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today all about teens and youth and their mental health. So next time on the show I'm going to be speaking with Casey. Casey is a kinesiologist, and we're going to explore how kinesiology is really beneficial for healing a variety of issues, from physical ailments, emotional stress and energetic blockages. So make sure you tune in for that. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope that you've enjoyed listening to the show. Until next time, be well. Deborah.
Thank you very much.